When one looks at the headlines in the newspaper, he may feel that the merger and acquisition terms are quite similar to one another. But in this video, we are going to discuss that how these terms, that is the merger, acquisition, amalgamation, takeover, absorption, differentiate from one another. Now these are the strategic decisions which a company takes with the growth perspective, because it is quite comfortable to grow at a faster rate by acquiring an existing company rather than the internal restructuring. So these are the external expansion measures which a company takes. You might have come across the top merger and acquisitions such as Comcast and Time Warner Cable, the acquisition of WhatsApp by Facebook, or the merger and acquisition of Flipkart and Myntra, that are the online retailers. But one may feel that these terms are similar, but there is a huge difference among these terms. So let's discuss first that what is the difference between the merger and acquisition. Now when I talk about merger, the one thing that comes in my mind is the sign of addition, that is the plus sign, because merger is the consolidation or combination or unification of two or more separate entities into one single entity. Now this merger and acquisition can be of two types, that is merger through absorption and merger through consolidation. So what is this merger through absorption? Now merger, that is the combination of two or more entities. When this merger through absorption we are talking about, so this combination results into the creation of one single. Now this single is the existing entity, and rest other firms or companies gets dissolved. Now let's take an example of merger through absorption. Now in the case of the merger and acquisition of Tata Chemicals and Tata Fertilizers, which is the example of merger through absorption. Now what is merger? That is the combination of two or more entities into one single entity. So one single existing entity, it is not a new entity, it is the existing entity. So in this case, the existing entity is Tata Chemicals that survived. Now this is the company that remained after the merger, and the Tata Fertilizers was dissolved. Now what is the merger through consolidation? That is the consolidation or unification of two or more entities into one single entity. But this one single entity is the new entity. So it might be the example of Brook Bond and Limited Tea, which led in the creation of Brook Bond Limited India Limited. Or it might be the example of Hindustan Computers Limited, Hindustan Instruments Limited, Indian Software Company Limited, and the fourth one, that is the Indian Retrographics Limited. Now these four companies merged together and they form not an existing entity, they form a totally new entity by the name HCL, and these all other companies were dissolved. So that was merger through consolidation. Now let's have a look what is the meaning of acquisition. Now acquisition, that means the act of acquiring the controlling stake in the other company, the control over the asset and management of that other company. For example, company 1 purchases stake in the other company 2. So these two companies still exist, they are still into existence, they are still company 1 and company 2, but the control in the company 2 is now with company 1. That means the act of acquiring the control. So only the control gets diluted and there is no combination of companies that happen in merger. For example, the Vodafone, that was a bigger company, acquired 52% stake in Hutchison SR, or the acquisition of WhatsApp by the Facebook. So they acquired the controlling stake in that other company. Now, what is the meaning of amalgamation? Amalgamation is the term that is used in India rather than merger. The term that is used in legal sense is called amalgamation. In rest, there is no difference between both of these terms. Now, what is the meaning of takeover? So, first let's understand the difference between the unequal and the equal. What is this unequal? That is, there is one large firm and one small firm, or comparatively smaller than this large firm. Now, what happened in merger in case of HCL? Those four companies were quite similar in the terms of turnover management. It was not like that one company was very big and other three companies were small. So what happens in merger, it is a combination of equal. But what happened in acquisition, it is the combination of a large firm acquiring a small firm. That was a Vodafone, that is a large firm acquiring the Hutchison SR, or the Facebook acquiring WhatsApp. Now this takeover, that is the acquisition, can be either friendly or hostile. Now friendly or hostile, these are two types of takeover. What happens in friendly is the other company's promoters, board of directors or management agrees willingly to be acquired by that large firm. But what happens in hostile, the board of directors or the management refused, but then also the acquirer purchased that company through either bidding or by purchasing the outstanding shares. So the takeover is of two types, friendly and hostile. Now one of the most common example of this hostile takeover is by Oracle. Oracle acquired the PeopleSoft company. So this was all about the merger, acquisition, takeover, amalgamation.